Here's something nobody tells you when you're 22 and holding your first real paycheck. The decisions you make right now, in this messy, confusing, broke but hopeful decade, will determine whether you spend your 30s building wealth or still trying to figure out why your bank account never seems to grow. Most people treat their 20s like a dress rehearsal, a practice round, a fake for "I'll get serious later" decade. But here's the problem. Your 30s don't come with a warning label. They just show up. And when they do, the habits you've built, good or bad, come with them. Today we're talking about 7 specific investments that will change your financial trajectory forever. Not get-rich-quick schemes, not crypto lottery tickets, just smart, boring, effective moves that actually work. Moves that will make your 30-year-old self want to send you a thank you note. Let me tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Your 20s are not a dress rehearsal. They're not a practice round. They're the most powerful wealth-building decade you'll ever have. Not because you're making the most money, you're probably not, but because you have something more valuable than a high salary. You have time. $1 invested at 25 is worth more than $1 invested at 35. Not a little more, a lot more. We're talking double, triple, sometimes quadruple, depending on how long you let it grow. The math isn't complicated, it's just unforgiving if you wait. The problem is that most people don't realize this until it's too late. They spend their 20s buying stuff that loses value, financing things they can't afford, and wondering why they feel broke all the time. They're not bad people. They're not stupid. They just never had anyone show them the map. Meanwhile, the person who bought a boring index fund at 25 instead of a financed BMW is quietly becoming a millionaire in the background. You don't see them posting about it on Instagram. You don't see them flexing at the bar. That's the point. Real wealth doesn't need an audience. Let me give you a concrete example. 2 friends, same job, same salary, same city. One buys a $35,000 car at 25. The other buys a $10,000 reliable used car and invests the $25,000 difference. By 55, the first friend has a 15-year-old car worth maybe $3,000. The second friend has over $300,000. Same income, different choices. Today, we're going to talk about 7 specific purchases that can change everything. Not because they're flashy or exciting, but because they work. And they work because they attack the root of the problem, the gap between what you earn and what you keep. Move number 1, invest in a side hustle. Not the get-rich-quick kind, the real kind. The kind that builds slowly, teaches you skills, and creates a second stream of income that isn't dependent on a boss who might fire you. Most people think side hustles are free. You just decide to make money and it happens. But the truth is, the most successful side hustles require some upfront investment. A camera for photography, tools for a service business, a website domain and hosting, books and courses to learn a valuable skill. Here's why this matters so much in your 20s. You have something you'll never have again: energy, flexibility, the ability to take risks without a mortgage, kids, or a dozen other obligations weighing you down. Your expenses are low. Your tolerance for uncertainty is high. That's a superpower. If your side hustle fails at 25, you bounce back in a few months. You're maybe out a few $100s in some weekends. If it fails at 45, it's a much bigger problem. You have a family to feed, a mortgage to pay. You can't afford to take the same risks. The key is to build on your existing strengths. Don't try to become a TikTok influencer if you hate being on camera. Don't try to start a coding business if you can't stand sitting at a computer for hours. The point isn't to chase whatever seems most profitable online. The point is to find something that matches your skills and interests, then invest what it takes to do it properly. A $200 investment in equipment or education that leads to an extra $500 a month is one of the best returns you'll ever get. That $500 a month invested for 30 years becomes over $700,000. Not bad for a camera and some hustle, not bad for a website and some marketing, not bad for a toolkit and some word-of-mouth referrals. And here's the secret about side hustles that nobody talks about. Even if the side hustle itself doesn't become a full-time business, the skills you learn will make you more valuable at your day job. You'll learn marketing, sales, customer service, project management. Those skills translate directly into raises and promotions. Move number 2, invest in index funds through a Roth IRA. This is the most boring investment advice you'll ever hear, and it's also the most effective. It's the financial equivalent of eating your vegetables and getting enough sleep. Not exciting, but it works. Let me show you some math that might blow your mind. If you invest just $200 per month into an S&P 500 index fund starting at age 22, and that investment grows at the historical average of about 10% annually, You'll have over $1 million by the time you're 67. $200 a month. That's less than $7 a day. Less than the cost of a sandwich and a coffee. That's the price of a couple of streaming services and one takeout meal. That's skipping the daily coffee run and packing lunch twice a week. $1 million for skipping a few luxuries in your 20s. That's not a get-rich-quick scheme. That's just math. That's just time doing what time does when you get out of its way. But here's the kicker. If you wait until you're 32 to start that same investment plan, you'll end up with about $700,000 instead of $1 million. Waiting 10 years costs you $300,000. Let me put that another way. Every year you wait to start costs you roughly $30,000 in future wealth. A year. That's not a small number. That's a car. That's a year of college tuition. That's a down payment on a house in some markets. The beauty of index funds is that they're the boring, reliable friend of the investment world. They don't promise to make you rich overnight. They won't give you exciting stories to tell at parties. But they consistently outperform most actively managed funds. They have low fees, and they spread your risk across hundreds of companies. And if you do this through a Roth IRA, your gains grow completely tax-free. Every dollar of growth stays in your pocket instead of going to the government. That's not a loophole. That's the deal they offer you. Take it. The key is automation. Set it up so the money gets invested before you even see it in your checking account. If you never see it, you won't spend it. Out of sight, out of mind, into wealth. Move number 3, buy a plane ticket. Travel while you're young, but do it strategically. Not the blow your savings on an Instagram vacation kind of travel. The real kind. The kind that changes how you see the world and your place in it. Here's what most people get wrong about travel in your 20s. They think it's about the photos. It's not. It's about the perspective shift. It's about realizing that the way things are done in your hometown isn't the only way. It's about understanding that people with less money are often happier than people with more. When you figure out how to navigate a foreign city, communicate despite language barriers, and solve problems in unfamiliar environments, you develop a kind of self-reliance that serves you for life. You also meet people from different backgrounds and industries who might become valuable connections down the road. Some of the best business opportunities come from conversations you have on a train in a country you never planned to visit. Some of the best job offers come from people you met in a hostel kitchen. You can't predict where connections will come from. You just have to put yourself in positions where they can happen. The smart way to do this is by maximizing credit card points and rewards programs. Get a travel rewards credit card. Use it for your normal expenses. Pay it off in full every single month. Never carry a balance, but collect those points and use them for free or heavily discounted travel. This strategy also helps you build a strong credit score, which becomes incredibly valuable when you're ready to buy a house or invest in real estate. You're not just traveling, you're building your financial infrastructure, you're getting free flights and building credit at the same time. The key is to travel cheaply. Hostels, not hotels. Street food, not fancy restaurants. Local transportation, not taxis. The experience is the same. The price is not. A $50 flight on a budget airline gets you to the same destination as a $500 flight on a premium airline. The memories are the same. The bank account is not. Travel in your 20s is an investment in your human capital. It makes you more interesting in interviews. It gives you stories that differentiate you from other candidates. It builds confidence that shows up in negotiations. Don't underestimate the career value of being the person who has actually seen the world. Move number 4, invest in education, but not the kind that puts you $100,000 in debt. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, and any other learning that increases your skills and value in the marketplace. This is honestly one of the most powerful investments you can make because the knowledge you gain compounds for decades. A $20 book can change your entire mindset about money and success. A few $100s spent on a legitimate course can teach you skills that increase your income by thousands. The key word here is legitimate. Avoid the $997 courses from people posing next to rented Lamborghinis. If someone's selling a lifestyle instead of a skill, run. If they're promising you'll get rich without working, run faster. Real education is about skills, not hype. Your brain is most adaptable in your 20s. You can learn new skills faster than you'll ever be able to again. Take advantage of that. Whether it's learning to code, understanding digital marketing, developing sales skills, or mastering a trade, every skill you acquire becomes part of your arsenal for the rest of your life. The highest paid people in almost every industry are not the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who have the rarest combination of skills. They can do what others can't. They can solve problems others find unsolvable. That's what you're building. A skill stack that makes you irreplaceable. A $500 course that helps you land a $10,000 raise is a 2,000% return on investment. There's no stock in the world that can promise you that. There's no real estate deal that guarantees that. But investing in yourself? That's the closest thing to a sure bet there is. And don't overlook the power of books. A $15 book contains years of someone's experience and research. If you get one useful idea from it, it's paid for itself 100 times over. Read one book a month on a skill you want to develop. That's 12 skills a year. That's a different person in 12 months. Move number 5, buy real estate. I know what you're thinking. I can barely afford my rent, let alone a house. But hear me out, because there are creative ways to make this work, even in your 20s. Even with a modest income, even without a trust fund, real estate accelerates wealth building through 3 main mechanisms. First, properties generally appreciate in value over time. Second, if you rent part of the property out, you get income that can help pay the mortgage. Third, you're using leverage. You control a valuable asset with a relatively small down payment. And here's the secret that nobody tells you. In many cases, your tenants are paying your mortgage for you. You're living for free while someone else builds your equity. That's not a hack. That's just smart math. If affordability is an issue, consider house hacking. Buy a duplex and live in one unit while renting out the other. Or buy a single-family home and rent out rooms to roommates. You could even explore short-term rentals if your local market supports it. The goal is to let other people pay your mortgage while you build equity and benefit from appreciation. It's not always easy, and it definitely requires more hands-on management than index fund investing. But the wealth-building potential is enormous, and the tax benefits are significant. Your 20s are the perfect time to start because you're more willing to live with roommates, deal with minor inconveniences, and take on the extra work. That flexibility disappears in your 30s when you have a family and less patience for nonsense. Use it while you have it. Start small. A condo, a duplex, something affordable. Let it cash flow. Let it appreciate. Then use the equity to buy the next one. That's how real wealth is built. Not by buying one perfect property, but by buying a series of good enough properties over time. The hardest part is the first one. After that, momentum builds. Your tenants pay down your mortgage. Your property value increases. Your equity grows. And suddenly, you have the down payment for property number 2. That's the flywheel. Move number 6. Buy cheap, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't say buy a car. I said buy transportation. There's a massive difference. And understanding this difference could save you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Most people in their 20s think they need a nice car to look successful. They finance $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 vehicles they can't afford, making payments that eat up a huge chunk of their income for 6 or 7 years. Meanwhile, that same money could be growing in investments, compounding into serious wealth by the time they're 40. Here's the brutal truth about cars. They are not investments. They're depreciating liabilities that cost you money every single month. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses thousands of dollars in value. It's not an asset. It's an expense with wheels. It's like lighting money on fire, except less fun, and you still have to make payments for the next 5 years. Instead, buy a 3 to 5-year-old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Mazda 3, or something similarly reliable for $10,000 to $15,000. Pay cash if you can, or finance it for the shortest term possible. These cars will run for 200,000 miles if you maintain them properly, and they're cheap to insure and repair. The money you save by not having a car payment can be invested instead. Let's say you avoid a $500 monthly car payment and invest that money at 8% returns. After 30 years, you'll have over $600,000. That's the real cost of having a car payment in your 20s. Not just the money you pay, but the money you didn't invest. The compound growth you missed out on. The wealth that never got built because you wanted heated seats and a better stereo. Plus, when you're not stressed about making car payments, you have more freedom to take risks with your career. You can leave a job you hate, start that business. Take a position with growth potential but lower starting pay. Financial freedom starts with eliminating unnecessary monthly payments. Move number 7. Invest in your health. This one gets overlooked constantly because the benefits aren't immediately obvious, and the cost of ignoring it doesn't show up right away. But your health determines everything else. How hard you can work, how long you can pursue your goals, how much energy you have for your side hustle, and whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. You can't enjoy $1 million if you're too sick to leave the house. I'm not talking about spending thousands on expensive gym memberships or hiring personal trainers, although those might be worth it if you'll actually use them. I'm talking about the basics that most people in their 20s completely ignore because they think they're invincible. Good food instead of living off energy drinks and fast food. Regular sleep instead of pulling all-nighters every week. Some form of exercise that doesn't involve walking from your couch to the refrigerator. Your 20s are when you establish the habits that will either support your goals or sabotage them for the next several decades. If you're constantly exhausted, stressed out, or dealing with health problems that could have been prevented, it doesn't matter how smart your investment strategy is. You won't have the energy or focus to execute it properly. The hidden cost of poor health in your 20s isn't just medical bills, although those can definitely add up. It's the opportunity cost of not being able to work at full capacity, not being able to take advantage of opportunities when they arise, and potentially having to spend your later years dealing with preventable health issues instead of enjoying your wealth. Think of health investments as performance enhancers for everything else you're trying to accomplish. Better sleep means better decision-making. Better nutrition means more consistent energy levels. Regular exercise means better stress management and mental clarity. These aren't luxuries, they're requirements. The people who build serious wealth aren't just lucky or smart. They have the energy to keep going when others quit. They have the mental clarity to see opportunities. They have the physical stamina to execute. That starts with health. Don't sacrifice it for a few extra dollars or a few extra hours of work. Now here's what ties all 7 of these moves together. They're all about playing the long game instead of optimizing for short-term gratification. Every single one requires you to think differently than most people your age. While everyone else is focused on looking successful right now, you're focused on actually becoming successful over time. While they're leasing BMWs, you're driving a used Honda and investing the difference. While they're posting vacation photos, you're building real estate equity. While they're complaining about being broke, you're quietly becoming wealthy. This is where the compound interest concept applies to more than just money. Every good decision you make in your 20s compounds into better outcomes later. Every side hustle skill you develop makes you more valuable in the marketplace. Every dollar you invest grows exponentially over decades. Every relationship you build through travel or education can open doors years down the road. But the opposite is also true. Bad decisions compound negatively. Credit card debt compounds against you. Car payments prevent you from investing. Neglecting your health creates problems that get more expensive to fix over time. Every bad habit you develop now is a brick in the wall you'll have to tear down later. The mistake most people make is thinking these 7 moves are separate decisions when they're actually all connected. Your side hustle success depends on your health and energy levels. Your ability to invest in index funds depends on not having massive car payments eating up your income. Your travel experiences can lead to business connections that accelerate your side hustle. This interconnected approach is what separates people who build serious wealth from those who just stumble from one financial decision to the next without any coherent strategy. When you understand how these moves work together, you start making decisions that reinforce each other instead of competing for your limited resources. Let's lock this in with a quick recap, because your 20s are busy enough without trying to remember all of this. 1S, invest in a side hustle starter kit. $200 now can lead to $500 a month later. That $500 a month invested becomes over $700,000 over 30 years. 2. Invest in index funds through a Roth IRA. $200 a month from age 22 becomes $1 million by 67. Wait until 32 and you lose $300,000. 3. Invest in strategic travel. Use credit card points. Build perspective, connections, and a strong credit score all at once. 4. Invest in real skills, books, courses, workshops. A $500 course that leads to a $10,000 raise is a 2,000% return. 5. Invest in real estate. Start small. Let tenants pay your mortgage. Use leverage to control valuable assets. 6. Invest in cheap transportation. A $500 car payment avoided and invested becomes $600,000 over 30 years. That's the real cost. 7. Invest in your health, the basics: sleep, food, movement. You can't build wealth if you don't have the energy to execute. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. You don't need to do all 7 at once. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Pick one move from this list, just one. Maybe it's opening that Roth IRA. Maybe it's buying that $20 book. Maybe it's skipping the expensive car and buying something reliable with cash. Maybe it's going for a walk tomorrow morning. Do that one thing this week, then next week, pick another. Small steps, consistent actions. That's how wealth is built. Not in giant leaps, in tiny, boring, repeated actions that compound over time. Your 20s will pass whether you make smart decisions or not. The years are going to go by regardless. The only question is whether you'll look back at 30 wondering where all your money went, or you'll be sitting on a foundation that gives you actual choices about how to spend your life. These 7 moves aren't just about building wealth. They're about building the kind of person who understands that real success isn't about impressing strangers with stuff you can't afford. It's about having the freedom to wake up every morning and decide what you want to do with your day instead of what you have to do to pay bills. Start with 1. Start today. Your 30-year-old self will thank you. Your 40-year-old self will be amazed. Your 50-year-old self will be retired. If this video helped you see your 20s differently, hit that like button. It helps more people find it. And subscribe if you want more videos about building wealth the boring, effective way, not the flashy, fake way, the way that actually works. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 7 moves are you going to start with? The side hustle, the Roth IRA, the real estate, the health, the transportation, or something else? Be specific. Tell me your plan. Be honest. Be specific. Let's fill the comments with real plans. Maybe your comment will inspire someone else to start today. Maybe someone else's comment will inspire you. I read them. I'll be in there. Let's figure this out together. Thanks for watching. Start where you are. Build from there. See you in the next one.